Welcome back everyone, hope you're all doing well. I've got another garden update for you today. I've got some new plants to show you, and I also picked up a few bits from my Mexico trip, and if you haven't seen that video I'll link that below for you, as I made like a little vlog while I was away. So I'm just going to go around the garden and show you my new plants, and also something exciting to show you. I've been waiting 3 years for this to happen, but finally my sago palm has produced a new flush of fronds. This is very exciting. So when I was in Mexico, I was pointing this plant out to my boyfriend, saying that I've got one of these in the garden and I've had it for 3 years, but it still hasn't produced any new fronds. And then when I returned from Mexico, I came home to this. So that is quite exciting. We've had some really great weather here in the UK. So the week after I returned from Mexico, we had a heat wave and the temperatures got up to almost 40 degrees, I think, in some parts of the country. It was, I think, about mid-30s here, and it's still quite nice now. It's kind of between 20 and 25 at the moment, but it does feel quite kind of warm and humid, which is my favourite kind of weather. And I have been watering this plant with warm water on the crown. Apparently if you replicate monsoon conditions for this plant, it will keep it happy, and that promotes growth. My red Abyssinians are looking much better. They're enjoying the heat. So this is one of my new plants, and it is the most beautiful lily I think I've ever seen. The variety is Indian Summer, and I think this is native to South America, and I just think it's so beautiful. I was told that you're not to cut the dead flowers off. If you just pull them off, it will continue to produce new buds. So that's what I've been doing, and it's grown quite a lot since I got it a couple of weeks ago. I did have my Colocasia esculenta here in this gap, but it's not been doing very well this year, so I decided to put this in its place for a bit of colour, and then I moved my esculenta over here into a pot. So normally at this time of year this is quite big, but it hasn't really done much this year, so I'll just see what happens. But all the cannas are a bit behind as well. Usually they're all flowering by now, but hopefully with this hot weather they'll kind of catch up a little bit. But as you can see over here, even my Cleopatra cannas are still quite small, but it is a little bit overgrown over in this corner, so they're probably not getting as much sun as they did last year. I did give it a little bit of a prune, but I quite like the jungly look anyway, so the bananas are all getting huge. The Cosmere is looking really beautiful, although this particular one has almost finished flowering. But then I did pick up this smaller one here, which produces orange flowers. It's a slightly smaller variety, similar to this one I think. I can't remember the exact variety. So that was one of the other plants I picked up. I picked up that and the lily from Allington Lane Garden Centre, which is one of my local garden centres. It's the same place I got the plants from for the lapstone video, the pub makeover I did. If you haven't seen that, I'll also link that below for you. So I dug up some of my Colocasia pink china and I put some here in this gap, and this one seems to be doing quite well. But again, these are all much smaller at this time of year than they usually are, but I'm sure they'll catch up over the next few weeks. Here's my other clump. I just love how they multiply, and you don't have to dig these up or anything over the winter. You just cut them back and mulch over them, nice and easy. My hibiscus is getting quite big. This doesn't usually flower until the end of the summer, so it usually gets to about 5 foot tall before it flowers, but obviously I'll update you on that when that happens. Got some more Cosmere here that I moved from the back of the garden to the front just to fill out some gaps. Again, there you can see my Canna Durban is not doing that great. The hot lips has turned into a proper bush. That might need a bit of cutting back this year. I've had to stake this plant up because it's gone a bit wild. I cannot remember the name of it. Oh, here we are. This has grown loads since I bought it last year, and it produces these lovely bright pink flowers. It's really pretty. And then if we go through to the back of the garden, I've got some more Cosmere here. I thought that the Cosmere that I dug up and moved to the centre there was from here, but they look different colours, so possibly not. These look more of an orange, whereas the ones in the centre are red. That's interesting. And then I've got a different variety here as well. It's more of like a yellowy orange colour. I love Cosmere because they multiply and it looks really tropical and it's easy to care for and it's good for filling out gaps. Oh, the Musifolia has finally started to take off. This is the tallest one so far. Again, this has multiplied quite a bit from last year. The slugs and snails have devoured it, but the taller it gets, the less it will get eaten. So hopefully in a few weeks that will be looking much better. This lily looked absolutely stunning when I got back from holiday, but unfortunately the flowers only last about a week or so. So I'll attach a photo on the screen for you of what it looked like when I got back. Again, this has multiplied quite a bit from last year. This was quite a small plant last year, and this is one that you just leave in the ground and it comes back every year. But that looked so beautiful. This is one of my other new plants that I also picked up from Allington Lane. So the reason I picked up this plant was because when I got back from holiday, this tree fern wasn't really looking its best. All the old fronds were completely brown and hanging down, so I cut those off. And even a few of the new ones were hanging right down. It was just really dehydrated, which is a shame, but all my other tree ferns are fine. This one is perfectly fine, and the one in my front garden's fine. It was just my big one. So basically I was annoyed that there was a big gap next to it, so that's why I bought this plant, to just kind of fill in the gap. And this produces flowers as well, because they showed me in the garden centre what it looks like when it's a bit more mature. I don't know if it'll flower this year or not, I haven't got a clue. I've never had this plant before, but I just thought it looked really nice and it fills in the gap quite nicely. My Chiflera looked a little bit floppy when I got back from holiday, but after a good water it's now looking great, and I can't believe how tall it is. It's actually taller than my waggy palm. It's like a proper tree now, but that just means it's going to be more exposed to the wind and frost in the winter, so I'm not quite sure how that's going to cope, but we'll see. This is the largest banana plant that I've got in my garden. I don't think the video even does it justice, but it is absolutely huge. So I don't think I'll be covering this particular banana this winter. I think it'll have to fend for itself. I can cover the smaller ones around it, but just not the biggest one in the middle there. This bamboo next to the bar is also new. This is the variety Black Pearl, and I thought it would look quite nice next to the bar. I've just got it in a pot for now. My hydrangeas were also a bit crispy when I got back from holiday, so they're not looking their best. They are starting to flower now, but yes, those were very dehydrated. But apart from the hydrangeas and the tree fern, everything else was pretty much perfect. So that wasn't too bad considering nothing had been watered for 11 days. I also need to give the decking another sand and an oil. That's on my to-do list. My Hydrangea Seemanii has just finished flowering as well. This is an evergreen climbing hydrangea. This produces these nice off-white cluster flowers. I only got this hydrangea a couple of years ago and it has gone mad. Looks really nice though, climbing up the fence. I have got a couple of them. There's another one down there, but because it's a bit more shaded, it hasn't really taken off like the other one. But I'm sure it will catch up eventually. As I mentioned, this tree fern was fine when I got back from holiday, as you can see. And these are the fronds from last year, which I've just left. It's best just to leave the old fronds to kind of eventually flop right down until you cut them off, because if you cut them off while they're looking like this, it does kind of close the crown a bit, which you don't want. I did give this waggy palm a little bit of a trim as a couple of the leaves were kind of hanging down a bit. So that's looking rather nice. And one thing I haven't really done this year, which is really bad, is fertilise the garden. I think I've done it once this year. But it just shows that even if you don't fertilise it, it'll still look good. But obviously it could have maybe looked a bit better if I had. I usually feed the bananas liquid seaweed, and then anything that flowers, I usually give them liquid tomato feed. I also use chicken manure pellets for the banana plants, and I used to give them my grass cuttings as well when I had a lawn. But yeah, they still look good anyway. Yeah, I've been really bad this year in regards to like fertilising and pruning, but I've been so busy this summer that I just kind of left the garden to it. But I do like the jungly look, luckily. It still looks lovely. What else have I got to show you? So a few things that I picked up from Mexico. I got a couple of the Mexican dream catchers, which I saw in this stunning restaurant that I went to. It's on my vlog, but basically it just looked like a normal restaurant from the outside, but when you walked through it, out the back was like rainforest, like jungly kind of garden with a waterfall, and oh, it was so beautiful. I'll attach a clip of it on the video, but I'll also link my Mexico video below. But they had loads of these dream catchers hanging from the trees and lanterns, and it just looked magical. So I brought back one of those, and I brought back a couple of smaller ones as well. Got one there, and then I've got a little one hanging in the bar there. The other thing I picked up was just a little ashtray, because we've got a few friends that smoke, but unfortunately I dropped it and had to glue it back together. And to be honest, it's too nice to use anyway. It's more of something just to display, but I thought that was really pretty. It's a shame I dropped it, but it's alright, it's rustic now. That's basically what I say about anything that has been broken or got scratched. I also picked up these cute little hanging parrots from Mexico, which I thought would look really nice in the bar. I'm still absolutely loving my pergola that I had built last year. It's so lovely that I can sit out here in all weathers, even if it's raining. And also in the winter, I don't even bother putting away the furniture now, I just leave it out, which is really nice. but I was thinking about getting some more lights for the pergola, kind of like the light bulb festoon lights, just to hang underneath, but I'll keep you posted if I get any. I'll show you those in another video. This was a mask that I picked up last year, which I completely forgot about, so I just hung that there on the fence. The honeysuckle's doing well. This flowers all summer. This variety is Drop More Scarlet, and it covers the fence really nicely. It does grow very wild, but I like that. And the Spanish moss is still doing well. Got 2 of those hung out here and a little one in the bar. I think that's about everything that I was going to show you guys. Hopefully for my next video I'm going to do a houseplant tour for you, because I haven't done one of those for a while. But I just thought I'd show you the garden whilst everything's kind of in flower. This canna has multiplied and has produced some more flowers. This is a canna that I picked up this year, hence why it's flowering, and this one again has got another flower coming up. But hopefully in the next kind of 2 or 3 weeks my other cannas will be flowering, hopefully. There were some in here last year, but they haven't even come up. My large cordeline's also flowering. I'm hoping that my bottle brush might flower this year. I'm not sure. It is absolutely massive now. This was in a pot for a few years, but it's done so much better in the ground. It's like a proper tree now. I did have another one that I kept in the pot, but I kept it under the pergola during the winter and spring, and it kind of, well, died. All the leaves went brown, so I don't have that one anymore. I don't think it was getting enough sun, but this one's doing really well. I'm glad I put this in the ground, but I'm really hoping that I get some flowers, because that will be a really nice splash of colour here at the back of the garden. I also put my caladium frog in a blender out here, which seems to do quite well at the back here in the shade. Some of my caladiums haven't done very well this year. I've got my red flash and Florida Moonlight inside in the living room. They're okay, but again, they're not doing as well as they normally would. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. Hope you enjoyed the garden update. If you've got any questions, just leave them below in the comments. Take care, everyone, and I'll see you all soon. Happy gardening.